This is the challenge of our collective lifetimes, the existential threat to human existence as we know it. And every day we delay, the cost of inaction increases. So let this be the moment that we answer history's call.
President Biden overseas trying to impress the world on climate change, but he's not impressing anybody here at home. The president attempting to save the planet by riding around Rome in an 85-vehicle-strong, gas-guzzling motorcade before this big summit, and by sending a third of his cabinet and an army of staffers to the global warming conference in Scotland. While claiming the situation on planet Earth is so dire, President Biden reacting by appearing to take a nap during a climate speech. Meanwhile, back here in America, the president's crises are piling up as his approval rating tanks, down to just 42%, with a whopping 54% disapproving. And 71% of Americans say they think the country's headed in the wrong direction. But Biden says all that doesn't matter to him.
The polls are going to go up and down and up and down. They were high early, then they got medium, then went back up, and now they're low. Well, look, this is look at every other president. The same thing has happened, but that's not why I ran. I didn't run to determine how well I'm going to do in the polls. I ran to make sure that I followed through on what I said I would do as president of the United States.
All right, so Sandra, you fell asleep during this climate thing. It's going to kill us all in a matter of years.
And the whole point of being there was to say, wake up, this is urgency.
Right.
And, you know, if you sit down and put yourself actually through watching that video in its entirety, it wasn't just a blip. It wasn't 15 seconds or 20. It was a full minute, although Greg says he would have done the same. That being said, you know, I was jotting things down as you were going through the open there.
Really?
So eloquently pointing out the situation that we are in as a country. As the president sat there, we have talked about inflation ad nauseum, but we're at a point in the year where we're quickly approaching the holidays. And the number one discussion now is that your Thanksgiving dinner is going to cost more. And if you're trying to fly to go see grandma, your flight's going to get canceled because of vaccine mandates and bad weather, according to the airlines. Christmas is coming. Gina Raimondo, the Commerce Secretary, when asked, are you going to get your Christmas presents on time, says call FedEx because we're dealing with a supply chain crisis right now. Gas is through the roof. So if you get in your car, it's going to cost you twice as much in some areas of the country. There are major problems and major headwinds right now. And people feel that. These are very tangible problems for the American people. And that does not poll well for the president. And that reflects better on Republicans putting forward a plan for next year.
Greg fell asleep during the cold open to today's show. Do you understand why the president might be a little lethargic?
Yes, climate change is boring as a topic. That's why we don't do it very often, and often the statistics aren't true. The computer models are way off, and it becomes a waste of time. But this is like a funhouse mirror of the previous president.
Yeah.
Like, you had nonstop energy that was actually really, really exhausting. Like, Trump was 24/7, and Biden is 0.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, you always know how the far left is doing, and you know that they're working really well is when America is going in the wrong direction. That is their barometer. Because if they get their stuff right, most of Americans should be suffering. Because that's how leftism is like a medic. It's what, moms give you to throw up the poison. That's how you know it works, is when you're throwing up. That's what leftism does to you. But if I were Joe Biden, speaking of that, and I heard that 71% thinks America's going in the wrong direction, I would poop my pants. Or I think the past tense would be poped.
Poped.
Katie, judging by the gossip.
To Greg's point, let's just say he is at 42% in the latest poll here. This is with the entire media establishment doing all of they can to prop this guy up. Imagine if he didn't have all that help, what his numbers would truly be.
I think at some point people get pretty irritated with you telling them and people in media telling them that everything is just fine when they're paying $4 a gallon. They can't afford to buy the same amount of milk for their kids, and they can't even get back to school without all these restrictions. But going back to the climate summit today, it's a perfect example of how the left is now completely out of touch with the so-called working class they want to represent. None of these people lecturing today are afraid of climate change, but they want you to be really afraid of climate change. Like, they have Prince Charles, who lives in a palace, multiple palaces, lecturing about how he wants a militarized campaign to get the rest of these people in line. the agenda that they're pushing doesn't allow undeveloped countries to become developed, which is also a huge problem for poor people around the world. They want to be able to continue their lives of luxury. Al Gore, for example, sold his TV company $500 million pocketed from Al Jazeera, which of course is funded by oil. He's there. John Kerry, we talk about all the time, wants to keep jetting around because it's for the good of the planet. They want to be in control. They want to control people's lives. It has nothing to do with solving the issue of climate change. And then back home, they say, well, gas prices are going to go up 40%. So while we're all flying into, Scotland for this conference, if your house gets a little cold because you can't afford to heat your house, just throw another sweater on and deal with it later. I mean, people understand that, and that's why you're seeing these numbers in the 70s.
It does look dopey that the president's falling asleep at a climate change conference in Europe while Americans are suffering from high gas prices here. It's off, Harold.
Kind of like trying to sit through the ballet. Look, I feel bad.
That was a great night, by the way.
You get the nap?
I did. I did not get a nap, Harold. How dare you?
You went to the ballet?
Yes, I'm a big ballet guy.
I don't believe that.
Look, the president might have been exercising his right to prayer or contemplating as he sat there. So there are a couple of things around the table. Climate change, to me, is really an effort to go after our biggest geopolitical threat and the biggest geopolitical question we have as a country, and that's China. China, as we all know, a few weeks ago, launched a supersonic, hypersonic weapon that, for the first time, can zig and zag and deliver a nuclear warhead anywhere in the world. As I've shared, they lead the world in electric battery production, solar panel production, wind turbine production. Now, are they right? Probably so. They are predicting where the world is going to go. So I think we should be in the business of competing and trying our hardest to beat them. Climate change, to me, is also an economic challenge and should set that matter, an economic race around the globe. Now, I would agree with you, Katie. There's some hypocrisy to people flying in on big planes, having enormous carbon footprints, and some not saying that we should have an all-of-the-above energy strategy. You can't, out of one side of your mouth, say what we're dealing with in the country in terms of shortages and people wanting to be warm during the winter, that we should rely on grids that are unreliable. We should invest in everything and invest in an all-above strategy, or above all strategy, or all and above strategy that all wealthy and middle-class, upper-middle-class people are able to live by. We're not doing that, and I think Democrats and Republicans alike have some blame to book. But for me, it's China. We've got to beat China.
But isn't China the world's biggest polluter, Harold?
They are. They have more coal.
Okay.
But Jesse, they have more coal plants.
I just wanted to hear that.
But they also have they have over 1 billion people that they're trying to manage. And their belief is over the next 10 to 20 years, and I might remind you, the richest man in the world, he's developing electric batteries, electric vehicles, and sending people to space. So as far off as you may think I am, his $300 billion, and the guy right behind him, also a believer in climate change and the kinds of things.
I'm falling asleep.
But Elon Musk, he's amazing.
But you did get the ballet sleep.
I did. Anything else, Greg?
Never mind.
Okay, good.
I had a thought, and then it left me.
Okay.
Much like what's remaining in my brain.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.